Good evening, everybody, and how are you all? I'm live streaming here on Sunday, the 10th of August, 2025. I really should note these things down because sometimes I just can't remember what I'm supposed to be saying. So hang on a sec. Just got to pull something else up here. Well, what sort of day has everybody, what sort of week has everybody had? It's been a very busy one for Go Live Granny, hither and thither, fitting family visits in and carnivals and all sorts of things. Loads of knitting, loads and loads of knitting. Hello, Isle of Wight Film Productions. Nice to see you in the house. So, has it been a busy one for you, Isle of Wight Film Productions? Certainly been busy here. And so busy, in fact, that I got so tired. And when I got home earlier today, I was so tired I went to have a nap, but I forgot. Hi, Alex, nice to see you. We saw each other earlier, didn't we? That was really nice. Alex and I saw each other at the bus museum today, which was great. Isle of Wight Film Productions has been at Sandown Regatta helping on the Sandown Love Bar. Well, I was at Sandown Regatta as well today, and I entered the hat competition, and this was my hat. And you've seen this hat before, but actually I put some extra bits on it. So it's slightly different, updated version of the one that you've already seen. So wait a minute, I'm just trying to pull something up here because I just needed to check something out. So yes, very busy day today for me. Very busy week. Travel shenanigans, all sorts of shenanigans, and a lovely, lovely weekend to finish it all off. So just a minute, folks. I'm just going to have a drink. There we go. I've got a plant at the side of me here, and I planted it. I watered it the other day before we went away. It's one of those, it doesn't like a lot of water. And when I came back, it was like this. So I've given it a drink. Now it's upright again. So that's quite good. Did you have a nice time at Sandown Regatta today? I was at Sandown Regatta this afternoon. This morning I was at the Isle of Wight Bus Museum. So originally for today I had planned to be at Sandown at the regatta all day. Then I decided it would be very rude to not go to the bus museum, because I was actually on a bus that would have gone past the bus museum, and I thought, no, I better go in the bus museum and going to add some support. And it was amazing. You love my hat. No, it didn't win, but there were lots of worthy winners. And actually the person who won was a child. So they had a children's entry, and then they had a crazy hat, the crazy hat entry, and a lovely punk child. I think it was a bit like steampunk. I think it was. I'm not quite sure. And that won the crazy hat, the Mad Hatters Award. And then a child who'd arrived at the same time as me. He had a marvelous. I was thinking it was a ferry. It wasn't. He had a hat that was like the Titanic, and it was made out of paper and card and painted, and it was brilliant. And I'm really pleased that he won it. And it was just so nice to see. But it reminded me, good afternoon, Heather, or good evening here, good afternoon for you. So the hat that this child was wearing, it reminded me of when I used to come to the Isle of Wight as a child with my family. And I think if you've watched any of my broadcasts, you might know that we have a history of doing fancy dress costumes or fancy hat costumes, anything like that. We like to enter these things. And so what was I going to say? Yes. Sorry, I got distracted. Hello, Tina. Nice to see you coming in on Facebook. Yes. So my dad used to make all sorts of fancy dress costumes for us, and we used to holiday on the Isle of Wight, and we used to attend the regattas and the carnivals, even as holiday makers. And I can remember my dad making a red funnel ferry. So it was hi, Tracy. Nice to see you. Am I feeling tired? Well, I don't know, Tracy. I was chatting to Tracy earlier and saying I'm just going to go and have a snooze because I was so tired when I got in today. I hardly, I struggled up the road because I've been gadding about rather a lot, and I have to remember that I'm not in my first flush of youth. And mostly I manage, but tonight. I mean, I had a wonderful time, don't get me wrong, and I'm glad I went. But when I got off the bus, I just walked up the hill and I was just so slow. I've more recently, because I've lost the weight and I've, been eating much healthier, I've had a bit more of a spring in my step. Ugh, today was one of those days where it wasn't so easy. And I really, every step was, struggle tonight. So I thought, right, I'm going to come in. There was a couple of things I had to do very quickly, and including I'm doing traveling again this week, so I needed to book my taxi. I needed to book travel assistance and all those things. And then I decided I was going to bed, and it was about 6:30, I think. No, it wasn't. It was earlier than that. It was about 5:30 when I got in, and I was laying on the bed and I thought I must set the alarm, and I just did a couple of things, and the next I know I'm waking up and it's 5 to 8. So I didn't even set the alarm, so my body obviously decided that it was time to wake up. Do you ever do that when you don't set the alarm but you've got to be up? Sometimes it's the other way and you do set the alarm and you sleep through it. I've done that on other occasions, but anyway, I woke up and I'm here now. Alex is saying she can't show the photo of us together. So we took selfies today down at the bus museum, and it was just lovely to see. So yes, so today, let's do today first. So today I decided that instead of just going to Sandown Regatta, I would go to the bus museum. So I went to the bus museum. They opened at 10 and they had a marvelous day. They were having a celebration of VE in Japan Day, so the anniversary of the ending of the war, when the Japanese, so you know what I'm trying to say, the actual ending of the war, and VE, it's VE in Japan Day today. It's a bit of a mouthful, but so down at the bus museum, they got the lots of the people who own old buses come to the bus museum and take people on rides, or ride on a bus. I don't do that because most of the old buses are not disabled friendly, so it's more difficult to get on those buses. But I just wanted to listen to the boogie woogie song birds, I think they call them selves. I haven't got the paper in front of me. They gave me a paper, but they were due. So I saw them setting up, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I need to be here, but I also need to get to Sandown. I wanted to enter the hat competition. I mean, it wouldn't have been the end of the world if I hadn't got there to do it, but I just thought it would be fun. And so I wanted to be in Sandown at least by 2:30, but possibly before that. So anyway, the girls were setting up to sing, and I said, oh, what time are you singing? And they said 11:45. So I thought, oh, right. And they were singing for an hour. And I thought, I'd really love to video that. I couldn't live stream. The signal's very bad at the bus museum. So it was a video, not a live stream. And so I thought, right, I'll do that. So I went and had a cup of coffee. And I like to support and buy my coffee and that. And I actually paid a bit extra for my coffee today because I thought they do such marvelous work at the bus museum. And it's a charity, and they are all volunteers who run that charity. So they don't get any grants or anything. So every single penny that they have to fundraise themselves. Tracy says she just thought she'd pop in and say hi, but she's going to pop off and get ready to get hubby from work. We'll catch up on replay later if that's okay. Of course it's okay, Tracy. You don't need to ask permission, but lovely for you to pop in. I know you've got to pop out again. You did tell me that. So enjoy the replay, and hopefully I won't delete the replay. I've just managed to delete last week's live stream. I when I stream on StreamYard, I stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time, but then it stores it on StreamYard, but it's only got a certain amount of storage, and I'm actually sharing an account with my son, and so I what was I going to say? So I don't want to clog all his things up. So I delete them off of StreamYard and the storage, because they've recorded to YouTube and Facebook. Only, oh, my silly me. I ticked the boxes that said delete from Facebook and YouTube as well, rather than just delete from the recording on the StreamYard. So I'm afraid I wiped out last week's. It's not the end of the world. You know, in the grand scheme of things, you know, it isn't the end of the world. It's a shame. And I realised as soon as I'd hit the buttons that what I'd done, and I went to check, and yes, sure enough, they had gone. But it didn't matter. Life is what it is, and we just get on with it. You know, that's the best way. Boogie Woogie Bluebirds. Thank you, Alex, because I keep forgetting these things. I did have, they gave me a paper. Now, on the original paper, they were due to sing at 12:30. And so I said, oh, it says 12:30. She said, yes. No, we got rescheduled, which was good, because then I could go and listen to them. I met various people I know. I met Alex in there. I met quite a few other people that I knew. So it's always nice. It's just such a lovely day. And it's so much is going on in Ryde. I also met Ian Dorr. Ian Dorr is the chair of our council, a newly appointed chair of the council. He was there to give a speech. First of all, there had been somebody who'd, I don't know if he was a veteran. I know that he has a lot to do with the running of the bus museum. And he gave a speech and thanked people, thanked the volunteers and all that sort of thing. And then Ian Dorr came and endorsed that. And, you know, these things, so much on our island would not happen without the volunteers. And I expect it's the same in a lot of places where you are. We've all deleted things we didn't mean to. Yes, we have. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, it's only a video, isn't it? It's only a live stream. You know, I didn't delete myself out of this world, thank goodness. I've got more things to do yet. So yes, it's the delete button. But I managed to tick 2 boxes, delete from Facebook and delete from YouTube. If I'd only deleted one and realised what I'd done, it wouldn't have mattered, because I would have had one copy. And if I deleted it from YouTube and got it only on Facebook, I could have downloaded it from Facebook and uploaded it to YouTube. But no, silly me, I managed to tick both boxes. But never mind, my life is full of shenanigans, as you know. I had shenanigans on travels this week. I had shenanigans going, and then I had shenanigans coming back. So on Monday, I was travelling early for a change. And this shenanigan, it just doesn't make any sense to me, and I really have to follow it up, because I was travelling from the pier this time. I was going up the pier and across to Portsmouth harbour station. Usually I go Portsmouth hovercraft. No, I go to Portsmouth via the hovercraft and then to Portsmouth and Southsea. This time my train ticket diverted me up the pier. But fortunately, I noted, now get this too, sometimes when I book my train tickets, oops, I'm going to take this hat off. It's making my head a bit warm and a bit itchy for a minute, but I'll put it back on in a minute. So sometimes when I book my train tickets, you know, to the mainland, sometimes it sends me via, well, usually I like to go via the hovercraft, but actually sometimes it does different things. And last, because I was travelling early, I don't know whether that was a difference, it diverted me via the Fast Cat, which is at the end of Ryde Pier. So, you know, I booked my taxi to take me to the end of the pier. Then I realised that actually when I booked my train ticket, it decided not to give me digital train tickets. Sometimes there's an option to tick digital or, you know, physical. And I always tick digital, because then they come straight to my phone. I don't have to have any shenanigans going anywhere to get tickets, you know. But of course, shenanigans was what was going to happen this week. You wouldn't expect anything else, would you? So I realised that I'd got to get them from the dry end of the pier. So I rang ride taxis and said, I don't need to go to the wet end of the pier. I need to go to the dry end of the pier. So if they could drop me there. So that's what they did. But also, I was travelling very early this week for reasons best known to myself and to family. Yes, I wanted the hover that I was going to be on was 20 to 7. So I usually like to leave almost half an hour from here to there, although it takes about 10 minutes from here to the hover. I always like to factor in the fact that you might get stuck behind the refuse lorry or something else, and all these other reasons. So I like to have a buffer. So I said, "Oh, could you pick me up at 6:15?" Well, unbeknown to me, 6:15 in the morning is a very busy time on a Monday morning, and there was no way I could have a taxi at 6:15. So okay, right, I've got a train. I've got a hover booked at 20 to 7, and I need to get to the hoverport. Okay. So what am I going to do? Right, bit of quick thinking. Can you take me before 6:15? Yes, they said, we can. So I said, what time can you pick me up? We can pick you up at 6:15. So remember, it's a 10-minute journey, and I need to be on the hover at 20 to 7. So I get there at the taxi comes and picks me up. Well, at quarter to 6, but then of course he's 5 minutes early too. But you know, I was about ready. So off we went, and he dropped me at the pier. So I go to the ticket machine and I have to put in the numbers that's come on my phone, you know, on my receipt for my ticket. I have to put in a code, and then it gives me my tickets. Well, that was fine. That was okay. And so then I thought, right, I think I probably best go to use the facilities without, you know, saying too much about it. I think you can imagine what I mean. And so, yes, I'm going to use the facilities. So at the dry end of the pier, there is a disabled friendly toilet, and there is a set of non-disabled friendly toilets. And the non-disabled ones are through a heavy door, you know, those very heavy swing doors. And then there's not much room in there, you know, for me and my wheeled walker. So I think, right, I'll use the disabled because I've got a radar key. And, you know, this becomes toilet shenanigans and train shenanigans, doesn't it? Any other shenanigans, you know, just pop in there as well. So I looked on the label, and it's set now, but bearing in mind, it's now about 6 o'clock. I'm at the pier at 6 o'clock. So I thought, right, I'll get this done and dusted, and then I'll sit and do something until. So what happens is there's a little train that goes up. Well, it's not so little, but it's a bit like, well, we did have the old carriages from London Undergrounds on that train until recently, but we've now had a nice upgrade. So it's a bit like the London Underground, those sort of carriages. It's not underground, it's on the top of the pier, but those sort of carriages. So that train is due to go up the pier at 6:32, right? And ready to meet to get me in time to get on the fast cat at the end of the pier at 20 to 7, or that leaves at 20 to 7. So okay, at 6 o'clock, got plenty of time to use the facilities and get sorted. Aha, that is if you can get into the facilities. So as you know, I have a radar key. So I put my on the outside. It said open from 6:30 on a Monday. Right, it's now 6 o'clock. 6:30 would not be a lot of good, because 6:32 my train is going. I don't think I can, even in the best will in the world. Hello, Steve. Even with the best will in the world, nipping into the loo, getting sorted and out again, and on a train that leaves 2 minutes later just isn't going to work. So I think, well, let's see if the doors open. So, and I don't get this because I've got a radar key. So only people with a radar key can get into that toilet. And they say that they lock toilets, they lock these facilities at night because of vandalism. But that toilet and the non-disabled toilets are in a section of the station that they close off at night with doors. shutters, or I don't know whether it's shutters. Or, yes, it must be shutters come down, and they lock that part of the station. So I don't know if I'm missing a trick here, but if they've locked that part of the station at night, people can't get into the toilets, right? And then that's their way of stopping vandalism. It's their way of stopping everybody else using the toilet at a time they might need to, because I got caught out with this one so many times. Anyway, right, so it's 6 o'clock and I put the key in and it doesn't work. So I'm thinking, you know, what's the point of a radar key? Anyway, I just don't get this. Anyway, I'm fiddling about and thinking, oh my goodness. Now, next to it, the other toilets that are through the double, very heavy double doors, remember, they open at 6 o'clock. This has to be discrimination. This definitely has to be discrimination. You can't have a disabled toilet opening at 6:30 and the ordinary toilets opening at 6 o'clock and that be okay. And of course, in my world, it's not okay. And I will be talking about it. And Steve came in, he said evening, and he said, hello. So hope you had a good time, Steve. So a good day. So I'm standing pondering this, and I'm actually taking a photograph of the sign, because so that I can actually go to the powers that be and say, why is this? How does this one work? Anyway, from behind me, a lovely young lady appeared, and you might have seen this on my socials, I don't know, but a lovely lady who happened to be Erin. I didn't know she was Erin at the time, but obviously, you know, we got to know each other fairly well in those few minutes. And she came and she said, can I help you? I said, well, my radar key's not working. She said, oh, I've left mine at home. So anyway, I said, well, you can help me. I can't get into the disabled, and I can't get through the heavy double doors to use the non-disabled ones. So I said, if you would mind my navy Nora, which is my wheeled walker, then I can use the toilet if you can watch my backs. So that's what she did. That was lovely. So this is just after 6 o'clock, remember, folks. So I come out and then I'm talking to Erin again, and a guy appears and opens the disabled toilet. The one that says available from 6:30. It's now a few minutes after 6, and he's unlocking the disabled toilet. I said, oh, why is that 6:30 and that one's 6 o'clock? He said, because this one's belongs to the station, Island Line. No, Southwestern Railway. Southwestern Railway governs the Island Line, which is our Isle of Wight Railway. And it comes under Southwestern Railway. Right. So he says, I said, well, why can't we have those open at 6 o'clock if the other ones are open at 6 o'clock? He said, well, these ones are owned by the railway and these ones are owned by Ryde Town Council. And he said, there's nobody here to open these at 6 o'clock. I'm thinking, hang on a minute. It's just a few minutes past 6 and you are opening the toilet. But there's nobody here to open the toilet at 6 o'clock. I did not point out how silly that actually sounded, because I thought he might clock me one. I think he came to open it because I know they've got CCTV watching the toilet, not in the toilet. Well, I hope not in the toilet. But I know because once before I was trying to get into that toilet and somebody came from the ticket office and they'd seen me on the CCTV. You know, but to somebody like me, this is a real issue, not just me, but for, you know, imagine a wheelchair user, they would not have been able to get through into the other toilets. You know, it's just not okay. I mean, I'm becoming a real advocate for people with disabilities. I mean, I had a shenanigans on the train on Friday as well, and it was a disability thing, you know, and it's just not okay. But on LinkedIn this week, so lots of you will have heard me talk of Jan Brooks. So Jan is a friend of mine. I do the community hub on a Friday with her when I'm on the island on a Friday. And last week I wasn't here, but that's what we do. And Jan used to run Isle Access, which is a charity that she set up all about to help all about inclusion, you know, and helping and helping more places to go, you know, become accessible for people with you know, with mobility issues or other issues, whatever. And so I've learned so much from Jan, and I noticed this because also she set the charity up when she realised that so much money was being lost in tourism because information wasn't available for people with disabilities. And that's not just here on the island, that's right across the UK. People, people want to find the information. If you've got a disability, wouldn't it be nice if you could just put in the information you wanted and it all popped up there? And so, we, in particular on the island, we're losing thousands of pounds in lost tourism because the information is not available. And of course, unfortunately, Visit Isle of Wight are not very good at putting all that information there, even though they've been given a lot of that information. It's not, you just go on their website and they say, oh, well, look at Ewan's Guide. So they're quoting Ewan's Guide, which is another another organisation that helps people with disabilities, but they're not actually putting much information. It's just click here and we'll send you off there because we're too lazy to do the work. And by the way, it's National Lazy Day today, did you know? And I had a little joke with one of my neighbours down the road, because as I was coming up the road, very tired today, I passed my little shop at the bottom of the road, and one of my neighbours from just across the way, he was at the shop. By the time I'd walked up the shop, he was up parking his car. And he said, oh, I'm just too lazy to walk. I said, you didn't need to tell me that. I said, because I didn't know that you hadn't been out somewhere and just popped at the shop on the way home. I said, but never mind, it doesn't matter because it's National Lazy Day today. I am full of random information like that. I happen to see, I subscribe to National Day calendar, and every day it tells me what national day it is. So it might be National Peanut Day or National Walk Your Dog Day or whatever it is, but today is one. They have multiple things on each day, but today it was National Lazy Day. I don't think I've been lazy today. I think I've been out and about doing a lot. I think I should be lazy sometimes and actually slow down a bit. So tonight I did slow down. As I say, I came up the road. I was so tired. I knew my body was telling me, you need to sleep. And hopefully tonight I won't be too long on the broadcast, because tomorrow is a travel day. And so I don't want to be too tired before I start. I have a request for my daughter to make sure I take back the yellow wool that I brought back with me, because she has suddenly got into knitting with a vengeance. I think she's seen me doing it and finding it so therapeutic, that I think that she's started knitting in the same way and finding it therapeutic. So I must make sure, note to self, put the yellow ball of wool back in. So I'm going off at a tangent all the time, but never mind, that's what I do. That's how my brain is wired. Earlier in the week, I was knitting, and I was on the mainland, so I was knitting and making lots of things for the Sandown Regatta, for them to do for fundraising, to raise funds to keep the carnival going. And I wanted some black wool. Well, I thought I hadn't got any black wool at my daughter's house, and so my daughter was going out with my granddaughter, and I said, oh, could you just get me some black wool, because I don't seem to be able to find any. Well, they went and they found some, and then they rang me from Hobbycraft. Oh, what a poor excuse to go. They rang me from Hobbycraft and said there were wonderful balls of wool, but they were on 3 for 2 offer, and we always love our bargains. Oh, I'm not wearing a hat tonight. No, I was wearing it, Steve, before you came in the broadcast. There we are. Will that do? I took it off because it was making me a bit hot, but I'll put it on and then I'll swivel it round so you can. It's got a new thing on it. I'll talk about the hat in a minute. So anyway, now I've forgotten what I was saying anyway. Oh yes, the wool. So if you've been watching my socials, you will know that I've been knitting a whole load of sea creatures this week, and I did all sorts of things. But I wanted some no, I didn't want some yellow wool. I wanted black wool, and but because this offer was on, we thought, well, let's top up with another. I mean, I usually buy my wool in Isle of Wool, and I would always do that if I'm here, but I needed it quickly. I've even had Isle of Wool send my stuff when I'm on the mainland, but I just needed it quickly, so it was just a little bit of wool. So they say. Ended up being 3 balls of wool. So we got a black. So I said to my daughter, well, how about a nice yellow? and a second black because I use a lot of black. And I wanted black because I was making a penguin, and then I never finished the penguin anyway. And then my granddaughter found a ball of black wool in my stash that's at my daughter's house, so I didn't even need to send them. But you know what? It is what it is. And the thing is, she said, could I bring the yellow wool back? Because I brought it back with me because I wound some off to give her for what she was doing. And then I bought the rest. It was a big ball, and I brought the rest home. And sorry, my brain goes dead sometimes. Yeah, so she was getting into knitting these smoothie hats, and she's very proud, and I'm very proud of her because she's done quite a few now, and it's just lovely to see her getting into knitting and enjoying it in the same way that I do. And so she said, she messaged me, she said, can you bring the yellow wool back? And I said yes. I said, but worst case scenario, and I forget, we will have to go to Hobbycraft again. Oh, shocker. I've got a £2.50 voucher too, a loyalty voucher. I'm going to take the hat off again, Steve, for a minute. It's making my head very hot and itchy. It's quite warm in here, and I haven't got the fan on. I've shut the French door because if I don't shut it before I start broadcasting, then it gets late and dark. I might start getting the moths in. So anyway, so that's my hat there. I did have one. And these, I've been wearing these because we've had Carnival this week. And you know, random people say to me on as I'm walking about, oh, love your, you know, I might not be at the Carnival now, I might be walking up the street, and they say, oh, love that. It puts a smile on people's face, which is what I like to do. But you know what, even this is making me hot. Let's put it so it's not touching my neck. Not quite the same look, but there you go. So anyway, so I've got to take the yellow wool back tomorrow, but if not, we'll have to go to Hobbycraft again. So yeah, so I've been doing all this knitting and getting all these wonderful things done. And so of course I made, they were under the brief was to make under the sea creatures, and I've just had such fun. And then I did live stream yesterday when I'd finished, and my PhD, I finished. It was my PhD, end of PhD. I don't want everybody to think I've suddenly gone very academic. I left academia many, many years ago. I am not an academic, so don't think I'm really doing a PhD. PhD stands for project half done. You know, all those half knitted projects that I've done. So I was putting them together. Usually when I knit, I will knit the first bit. So say, for example, I'm knitting a seagull at the moment, and that was going to go on my hat, but I decided not to in the end, because I was going to be on the beach with my food and for the hat competition, and I thanks to Tracy for persuading me to wear this hat and not spend hours making another hat. And she said, why don't you put a seagull on the top of it? So I was going to do that, but in the end I didn't, just because of time factor and everything. But I'd started knitting this seagull. So when I would knit something, so you knit the body, and then you knit the wings. But what I would do normally is knit the body and sew the body up and stuff it if it needs to have some stuffing in it. And I make it up as I go. But for some reason this week I didn't make them up as I went. I just knitted all the bits. You know, I've stopped doing that in the past because I would lose the bits. So it would be a good idea to knit them up and make the thing up as I went. So anyway, I didn't do that. So I all the things got half done. So I had a half made octopus. I had a half made squid. I had half a lobster that wasn't quite finished. He didn't have his eyes on. You know, so I had all these half. Don't wear any hats during the week either. There's another heat wave coming. Yeah, and of course this is very warm because it's woolen. It makes my head very hot, but it does make people smile, so I do like it. So let me hang on. Just let me. Whoops. Just got to do something here. Because I have to fiddle about doing things. Right. So what was I going to say? Sorry, I've just got a message. My son was just sending me a message, and I do get distracted when my kids talk to me online. I'm sorry about that. So I mean, this hat, I absolutely love this hat. This hat never started off like this. So those of you who've watched my broadcast before, please forgive me as I tell the story of my incredible edible hat. So this originally was a hat with fruit and veg on it. All fruit and veg. It's very different now, this hat. You can still see, look, there's a mushroom and a courgette and one of those, forgotten. I forgot what you call it. Oh, brain dead. An apple, a banana, some grapes round here. What else have I got? So some sweet corn here. So it originally, and a cucumber in there. Aubergine. I remembered what it was. So it originally was all fruit and veg. And I made it as an entry into our county show a few years. It was before COVID, and they had an horticulture section, not horticulture. They had horticulture, and so this section was it was a craft marquee, and you could enter the competition in any art form at all. So it could be painting, it could be crochet, it could be clay, whatever. And of course, knitting is my my strength. So I decided to make there were different categories, but one of the categories was fruit and veg, and I decided to make fruit and veg because I love knitting food. I love knitting anything, but I love knitting food. And so I thought, right, let's have a go at this. There's not many things I've failed to knit. The only thing I can ever remember failing to knit, because when somebody asked me, was a knitted pair of scissors. Now I found now since that a pattern where I could crochet a pair of scissors, but I never found a pattern where I could knit a pair of scissors. And that's the only thing I think I failed to do that anybody's asked me to do in knitting. I mean, I haven't been challenged to the nth degree yet. I'm sure somebody else will find something I can't do. But there are so many patterns out there these days. And also I'm getting to the stage where I could adapt a bit of this pattern and a bit of that pattern and put it together to make something. But I've got so many knitting books. And actually, I did some tidying like the week before last, before I went away. And I don't know if you can see here, these are lots of knitting books and knitting patterns and craft patterns over here. And I've got them here now just to hand, where I can sit in my chair and I can go through them. And I will use them so much more now. And of course, if you were watching last week, you will know that I've got a new bookcase over here in front of me, and it's lovely. I went just now to get a couple of books that I'm going to show you, and I forgot to close the doors, and I thought, no, I'll go back to close the doors, because the whole reason I bought it was to close all the books in so it looks neat and tidy. Because although I'm a messy person, I'm trying to get everything neat and tidy. So I've got neat and tidy things here. This bookcase was standing over there on another small bookcase. I got rid of the things that were here that were looking messy. I've still got them, but I haven't decided what I'm doing with them. So I've made it all nice and tidy. So look, here are all my patterns. There's an octopus pattern. This section I've just picked up are all my Jean Greenhouse books. Jean Greenhouse, she made a lot of these. Wait a minute, let me see. A lot of these sort of toys, loads of the toys that I knit. Some of the big ones, some of the little ones are Jean Greenhouse. And I've got every one of her books. Sadly, she's passed away now, but she did so many books, and I've managed to collect all of them, I think. Some of them I've got multiple times. Some of them I got in charity shops very cheap. So that's just wonderful there. I've got crochet stuff there as well. I've got all that sort of thing there. I had it in an area where I didn't access it very easily, and then I wasn't using it. So that made a lot of sense now to do that. Heatwave coming for Heather in Ohio tomorrow and Tuesday. The heat index will be 105 Fahrenheit, 40.55 C. Oh, that is hot. I think we used to think something like just over 20 was hot, and now of course we get pushed for over 30, but 40, oh my goodness, I think I'd be fried alive with that. And mind you, I would stay indoors if I could, and I would have all the fans on. So we learn to cope, don't we, with all these different things. So anyway, yes, so I've got all these lovely patterns. I've got loads and loads of knitting books. I can knit. I've got a book that's about knit a safari. I can knit outer space. I can knit. And going back to outer space, that just reminded me of the song that everybody hated me singing during COVID. I think I made a spaceship, and I made some aliens. And then I used to sing the song, 5 little men in a flying saucer flew round the earth one day. They looked left and right, but they didn't like the sight, so one man flew away. And I used to sing that, and everybody it told me off, because then that song was singing in their head all day long. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. You're grateful for central air conditioning. I bet you are, Heather. We don't have all that. We can have air conditioning, things. Some places are air conditioned, but we're not that well up over here in the UK for that sort of thing. We have air conditioned cars now, a lot of them. So my daughter's car, I don't think my son's car air conditioned. That's nice. But of course, when I was driving, we didn't have any of that. It either worked or it didn't. The fan either worked to blow a bit of cold air or it didn't. And in some cases, in my cars, it didn't. But never mind. It is what it is. So you just make out of life what you can. Anyway, it is nice if you can get cool, and I've put some of the fans away because I thought it was cooling down. Now that was silly, wasn't it? Because now I have to get them out, and they're on a high up shelf in my, what I call my boiler cupboard. There's a boiler in the back of I suppose it is a boiler cupboard because the boiler's in there, but there's other things in there as well. So it's a storage place. But I'm getting there. When my furniture came the week before last, you might remember that I put some of it together, but it was just too big to lift and to stand up. And my lovely neighbour came in and finished it off and he stood it up and then he put the doors on it. I love it, and I'm going to order this month. So I've just had my pension in again. So this month I'm going to order another one that backs onto it, because I think I told you I had two Billy bookcases. No, they weren't Billy bookcases, they were other bookcases, and they had 2 drawers at the bottom that you could hardly use. They didn't really fill it out. And to my mind, that's wasted space in my flat that hasn't got a lot of storage. And because I'd saved up a lot of my cash back, I was able to get this Billy bookcase for next to nothing. It was all money that I got cash back on things I was buying anyway. So I was, I'm a bit of a savvy shopper, you might have noticed. And I don't like spending out, I don't have a lot to spend out, so I have to use it wisely. And so I got that one. This month I have budgeted to get a second one to back onto it, because I have them back to back in my lounge. I didn't have enough wall space to put them sideways onto the wall, so I stood them out from the wall back to back. And that works because I can get lots more in. And because I've got now, instead of the 2 drawers at the bottom that weren't user friendly, the unit goes all the way down to the bottom, so I can maximize the space, and it goes slightly higher than the previous Billy bookcase. So now I can get loads more, and because I can shut the doors. The shelves, some of the books don't come right forward to the shelves, so if I've got other little bits and pieces I need to store, I can stand them on the front of the bookcase in front of the books, and it's all tidy and tucked away. And I can't see it because the doors are shut now. But the silly thing I forgot to buy handles when I bought the bookcases, because they're not part of what it comes. They come as just a shelf unit, and then you have to choose your own handles. So at the moment, I just go to the bottom and pull it open from the bottom. But eventually, I will get some handles as well. In fact, so if I buy another one this month, so careful budgeting, I will get handles for both of them. And then I'm sure my lovely neighbour will help me construct it. But when this came, I also got a Kallax unit, one of those that's, the cubed storage. And I've got one that's 1x4. And I'm going to lay it that way. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, rather than up the other way, which, I've got in some places. That one needs putting together. So that's still standing in the hallway. Now, if I'm sensible, I will take it out of its packaging before I go away tomorrow. It's bin day, so I will put my rubbish out as I go away tomorrow. It's bin day, and it's on Tuesday, and it is where it's recycle day. So if I'm clever and take all the bits out of the cardboard, I can get rid of all the cardboard packaging to go tomorrow. And then when I come back, I will put the unit together. That one I can manage on my own, although I've got to put it up. I've got to lift it up onto the top of some, I don't know if you can see, let's turn this a bit. Next to me, I've got shelves like this. In my craft room, I've got 4 of these next to each other. So on the top, I'm going to lay a 4x1 Kallax unit just to tidy it up. You know, I've got things stacked on the top of it, but I just want to make it all look neater and tidier. Steve says it's going to be at least 33 here on Tuesday. So here I think means UK. And because Heather is of course over in the States. I haven't seen Hazel for a little while. I don't know how we're doing time wise with Australia at the moment, because of course when all the hours change in I don't know how it all works, but you know, Hazel pops in every now and again. So she'll come in and she'll say good morning when she comes in, because of course over in Australia it's now coming into morning, whereas we're getting into the evening, and the States I think you'll be about 5 hours behind us, I think, Heather, aren't you? So when Heather came in, she said good afternoon. So slowly my flat is getting very organized. No, it's getting organized. We're getting there, and I'm actually enjoying trying to get much tidier. But of course, I've got so many demands on my time that sitting tidying isn't top priority. I do bits and pieces when I can. I try and do a little bit try and do a little bit every day, even if it's just throwing another bit of rubbish out or something like that, or moving something into a box rather than sitting on the side. I just try, but I don't know how I ever have time to work, because ever time to go to work, because I seem to be so busy these days. But busy choosing what I want to do myself and enjoying it. So and knitting is a huge part of that, of course. And as I say, I've been doing all my project, my PhD, getting my projects half done, finished. So all those ones for the sea creatures, I got finished. And then last night I went to Shanklin Carnival, and so where I live, it's Ryde, and then the next main town across is Sand. There are little bits in between, so you've got Brading and Lake as well. But it goes Ryde, Sandown, Shanklin, and then on to Ventnor. So it was Shanklin I had to get to last night. And so the carnival left at set off at 9:15. So we have to wait, because it's the illuminated carnival last night. So no point in having an illuminated carnival until it's dark. That's the idea. It gets dark and then all the floats have got lights on them. And I had lights on me too. And how impressed are you with this, folks? I thought I wanted to have lights on me because it was the illuminated carnival, like you do. Hang on, whoops. And I went to a drawer in this new tidy life of mine, and I found a little set of lights to hang on me. Brand new set of lights in the first drawer that I opened. I hope you're impressed, folks. Don't all faint. But I was impressed with myself. So these would, I think last week I told you that I had moved a pile of junk, and I'd put I've got these IKEA drawers here at the side of me that I just showed you, but I've also got plastic drawers on wheels. And so I got rid of a pile of rubbish, and I moved into its space to these 2 plastic sets of drawers. They just fitted in the space side by side. It was amazing. It wasn't a plan, it just happened. And I wanted them in there because I've got some stuff stored down the side of my bed that I need to get to occasionally. So in order to get to it, I've got the end of my bed. At the end of my bed, I've got a set of drawers anyway, but there was just this space here that was in line with all the boxes that are down the side of the bed for storage. And so these 2, if they stand there, if I need to get to the boxes behind occasionally, these 2 things are on wheels. I've bought a lot of stuff on wheels so that it works. And I just did that last week, and it just made it so much tidier and so much nicer. And so I was well impressed. And of course now I've got those drawers accessible, and I'm putting things into the drawers. That I even found a drawer that hadn't got anything in it. Wow, more storage space. So getting there, because I've still got lots of boxes around the place with bits in. So eventually, slowly, we're getting them all into the right places. So I was well impressed with that. So I've got another space, the last space in my bedroom. that I would quite like to tidy up. Again, it's a whole pile of boxes that need going through, but I thought that I could probably put another plastic set of one of these other ones on wheels in the bedroom, in that space there, and that would look so much tidier, and it would be so accessible. So this is, I don't think this is a New Year's resolution, because we are into August, 8 months in, and so we're getting there. So I'm quite pleased with that. So I don't know what anybody else has been up to this week. Not many comments coming this week, but it doesn't matter. I'm quite happy. Am I? Yes, I must be live on Facebook, because some of you came in from Facebook, so I know I'll be live over there as well. So it's just a bit of a oh crikey, I can't say what I'm trying to say. Just all sorts of things going on this week. And so I was telling you, I didn't finish telling you about the toilet shenanigans, didn't I? Well, I did, because the guy came and he opened that toilet at 6 o'clock, saying we don't have anybody to open this toilet at 6 o'clock. Anyway, I didn't point that out. But while I was standing there with this lovely lady that had tried to help me, they just opened a new cafe right opposite the toilets, and it was although they were in there getting ready to open for the morning, and apparently they open about, well, I think she said 6:15, but I noticed tonight on their sign it says 6:30. But anyway, so I said to her, oh my goodness, I said, I must come and have some coffee. What time are you opening? Bearing in mind my train up the pier was at 6:32, and I don't really want to carry a cup of coffee, because if I have shenanigans, you know what's going to happen with a cup of coffee, don't you? So Heather's saying she's not chatty, she's still working on Christmas cards. Still working. Is this for last Christmas or next Christmas? So of course Heather is one of my very crafty friends, crafty in the nicest sense of the word. So Heather and I met, well, we haven't physically met, but we met online through the crafting world. So we've become great friends. Oh, and I've treated myself to something, and I'd ordered this parcel, and then I think I'd ordered the parcel thinking I was going to be here, and then I wasn't here, because I went away again. And in my parcel I treated myself to a new, I don't know if you've got one of these, Heather. I've got a precision glue press, right? So Heather and I both support a company called Tonic Studios. Now that's an empty glue bottle. It's an empty one, and that's the sort of glue I like to use. But these are very hard. I've got more. I don't have the strength in my hands anymore that I used to have. And when I was trying to squeeze glue like this, if you're a crafter and you're trying to squeeze glue and then it's too hard to squeeze the pot, you need a bit of help. And I saw this precision glue thing. So this is, I haven't used it yet, because of course it came, I'd gone away, and the parcel got left, and I had a message to say the parcel was left, but I didn't know where the parcel was, because I couldn't see from the photo. There was no photograph to show me. Inside my door there was a card that said, oh, we've left your parcel in the green bin. Now the green bin is the recycling bin, and it was actually somewhere around bin day when the parcels left. But I managed to alert my neighbour, and I said, oh, there's a parcel. She said, well, I can't see it. And then a bit later on I thought, oh, I wonder if they put it in the bin. So I messaged her again, and she said, she went out and looked, and she said, oh yes, it was in the bin. So she found it. So, but it didn't get thrown away. So this is it. So oops, hang on, it's tied up with an elastic band. So look, so the glue pot goes in here. You obviously take the nozzle off the glue, and then you squeeze. Look, I can squeeze that much more easily than I can squeeze a glue pot. And so that's what you do it. You absolutely, oh yes, Heather's got one. She absolutely loves hers. Excellent. Wait a minute, I missed something else. Heather has an order from her aunt for 20 cards, and you still have to make your own. Yeah, so that's soon. It runs away the time, and soon it will be Christmas, won't it? So you've got to get on with them. So anyway, so that's the glue gun, and or precision gun, and that's the stand. So you can stand it in there. I think you can stand it in there without its lid on, and then it will close it end bit off. I haven't tried yet, but I'm absolutely delighted that I know now. I put off doing some craft for a while because I was struggling, and this is the glue I love, and I was struggling to do it. But do you know what? I'm going to have one of these at my daughter's because I spend a lot of time there. And rather than carry all my equipment backwards and forwards, I now have a set at her house and a set at my house. I have bags of wool at her house. I have bags of wool at mine, and it just works. So I'm thrilled to bits with that. That was a present to me, but it wasn't the cheapest thing going, but it will make so much difference to my crafting because it's when you take this off, there's a very fine precision needle on the end, so it means you can actually put glue in tiny bits of glue in. And I was making a card when I was at my daughter's. I was making a card for my granddaughter who had her birthday on Saturday, and I was struggling with the glue. But I had glue pots like this, but I couldn't squeeze it out, and I think my granddaughter was not available at that minute, the one that helps me with all these things, and so I couldn't do it, and I was getting frustrated. I ended up using a different sort of glue, and I had to use some, Q-tips, the ear cleaning things, as a little spreader, but it's not as effective as that. Hi Sam, nice to see you coming in there on Facebook. So yes, I'm really thrilled with that, and I do want to get and do a lot more crafting. If I sit still long enough, I will I will try and do some crafting on camera. My son sent me, well, I actually need a second phone, I think, because he's sent me a tripod that will you can stand down and look at the work, but I need to be able not only to video my work or live stream what's on the table, but I want to be able to see me. I want to be able to see me in the corner as well. So I'm getting there. That will happen at some stage, but I'm not quite sure when. I hadn't done much crafting at all, and then I had to make my granddaughter's card. And then we confused my my son and his wife, who are the parents of my grandchild, because I made the card, and then I was travelling back on Friday. Her birthday was on Saturday, and I'd made the card, but hadn't had time to go and post it. But my daughter had hers to post. And we did leave it till last minute, and it did arrive on Saturday, which is unusual. But anyway, my daughter posted my card in with an envelope with her card and a little present, and so I'd messaged. I then I did a bit of a cheat this time. I normally make things for the girls, but because I've been so busy doing all this other making for the carnivals and things, I decided the next best thing. My grandchildren absolutely adore books. And so I think you can never have too many books, especially reading with children. So I did an Amazon search, and I was able to order those books late on Friday night for arrival on Saturday on her birthday. So I sent them a message and said there's a parcel on its way. So anyway, a parcel arrived, and they said, "Oh, we think we've got your parcel." And then I said, "No, that's not my parcel." And why they thought it was my parcel is because they opened it and there was a card in it from me. So how confusing was that? But of course, there was a card in it from my daughter and a present. But, just thinking quickly, my son had thought it was my parcel. Anyway, my parcel did arrive. And then, of course, I've doubled up on some of the books because I don't know what books they've got on their shelf. They're not short of books, and I never want them to be short of books because, that's how children learn the love of books, isn't it? And so I'd ordered 4 books for her, and apparently they've got 2 of them. So I said, well, never mind, it's Amazon. We can switch them out, or I can have them and I can read them to you folks when it's a time for a bedtime story. Do you remember, those of you watching me back in COVID, I used to read stories to you as part of how I entertained you all back then. Anyway, let me put that down now because I don't need to be cuddling that, do I? So yes, so I hadn't made any hadn't done any paper craft for ages. And then, of course, my cricket machine that I bought when it was my son's and his wife's wedding, to make some table decorations. it's sat idle since then. And I said to my granddaughter that helps me, I said, oh, come on, let's see if we can do something on the Cricut to make a card for my granddaughter. So we did. We got it out. But she's the wizard with maths. And when you're trying to work out, sometimes it needs a bit of a maths brain to work out where on the map you put things to cut them out on the Cricut machine. So that granddaughter's a bit of a whiz with that, so she helped me. Sam says his friend Jean 2 and Jean 3 and Jean 2 and Jean 3 and Jean Bretty say hi. Hello. Hello to all your friends, Sam. That's lovely. So, as I'm doing a hopper all over the place today, aren't I? So, my battery's running low on my laptop. Hang on a minute, folks. I need to plug in the laptop because I don't want it to die. Wait a minute. Let's just put that in. And has it done what it needs to do? Yes, it has. There we are. It's sorted itself out now. That's good. So yeah. So knitting's been a major part of my week this week. Lots and lots of knitting. And so therapeutic, and I'm glad that that's really rubbing off on my daughter. I'm just loving seeing her really enjoying. She's making smoothie hats. Don't forget, I learned as a child. She's only really learning now, but she's seen me enjoy it so much that I think that's why she's really taken to it now, and I'm delighted. I don't think she'll do the paper craft, but knitting is good. So I've got to take them all back. She wanted to make. She's making black and white smoothie hats, and she's wanting to make them with not black and white, black and yellow. And she's wanting to make all different designs in a smoothie hat. So there'll be a smoothie hat that's got a yellow rim and then all black and a yellow pom pom, or all the different combinations that you can do. So many different ways of using two colors to make lots of different color combinations. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's done. She made me so proud on Friday because I was on the mainland until Friday. I did Slimming World there. The week before I didn't weigh, I was here for Slimming World at my house. And of course, if you were listening a week ago, last time, I would have told you that just as I was about to go to Slimming World, we had a thunderstorm, and it didn't make any sense at all to go out and get drenched walking down the road, and I don't like being out in storms anyway, so I decided not to go. So the week before I didn't go. So this week my daughter and I are very close. We were coming very close, both losing 4 stone. Anyway, she did it on Friday, so she got there before me. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm happy for her to do that. I lost 2 pounds, and I am 2 pounds away from my 4 stone award. Doesn't mean I'll get it this week. I'll try. I'll work hard, and be very good. Sometimes I'm better than others, but yesterday and today I've been very focused. If I get my 4 stone award this week, I do. But if I don't, there will be the issue because I'm going to be back on the island for Slimming World this week, and I weigh in the evening if I'm here. When you weigh in the evening, your weight is higher than in the morning. So of course, can you see the disconnect here? If I'm weighing at her Slimming World, I will come up at a lower weight than if I weighed here in the evening. So in order to counteract and to get to the 4 stone, I was 2 pounds away from it in the morning. So in order to get it, if I weigh here, I've got to do more than not 2 stone, 2 pounds. I've got to do more than 2 pounds in order for it to show in the evening. So Heather said we've both earned our stars and how hard we've both worked to release the weight. So proud and happy for both of you. Yeah, and I think we're proud and happy for ourselves and for each other, because I would never have started. Well, I don't know what you don't know what you don't know. But at the time when she said, "Oh, I'm going to join Slimming World, Mum, do you want to join too?" I had never really thought about it. I was not comfortable with my weight, and of course not as healthy as I could have been. And it was her encouragement that made me sign up. And I said, "Oh yes," and we've budded with each other, although we're not always together. I'm here and she's there. We've budded, and we send each other pictures of our food or things that we found helpful or top tips and things like that. And she started losing more weight than I did. She was quicker at losing it, and then I seemed to catch up, and then we were going like this, and I went ahead. And she started off lighter than me, so she is lighter than me anyway. She was about, I think, possibly a stone lighter or nearer a stone lighter than me. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, so she's now in the 12 stone zone, which is great because it's the 12 at the beginning of the number. I'm still at 13, but very near to the 12 at the front. So looking forward to seeing a 12, coming there soon. But I'm not in a rush. It will be nice. It will be nice to do it before my birthday if I can. But, it is what it is. And sometimes if I have not such a good week, it really doesn't matter because, we say to each other, well, we've done nearly 4 stone. So if we put a pound on in a week, it's not devastating. Or if we decide to have something that's totally off plan, it's not the end of the world. It's about actually balancing out and having a nice lifestyle. Oh, folks, I have just noticed my battery is about to die because I forgot to plug you in. Hang on. I thought I'd done that. Oh, we're all plugged in now. We were on the battery nearly dying. Good job I noticed, because otherwise you'd have disappeared. I'd have disappeared. So yes, so really, really pleased and very happy to try and encourage other people. Actually, I'm going to shut that down because it's making reflection on my glasses. Mind you, that light, I never get this light right because I wear glasses. I don't know how to stop that all going on there. So Sam's just talking about Strictly Come Dancing. So that over here in the UK, they've announced the all the dancing professionals who will be dancing in Strictly Come Dancing this year. And Sam is saying he hopes Diane Boswell and Vito Coppola and Aliash. These are very difficult names for me to say. They will get a good celebrity partner this year. Yes, I think somebody told me the other day. They gave me a bit of a rumor as to who was going to be the celebrity. Who might be on the celebrity list. But some of the people, when they pick these celebrities, some of the people are people I don't know until it gets to Strictly Come Dancing. So we will see. We will see. I don't know whether the list was true that I saw, but anyway, I knew some of the people on the list, so that's quite interesting. But there you go. So so that issue of the disabled toilets, I've got to try and resolve that with so I was told, because I don't think I told you the end story of that toilet. So I was told that the disabled toilet that opens at 6:30 belongs to the railway. So that's South Western Railway. The other toilets belong to Ryde Town Council. Now, there's a disconnect here, isn't there? You can't have people with disabilities disadvantaged because one's owned by the town council and one's owned by the railways. I don't know how this one will be resolved. I will talk to Ryde Town Council people and see what they have to say about it. But one thing that I did make progress on this week, and I think I started to tell you this story because I started. Let's take that off. It's making me hot. I started to tell you that I'm friends with Jan Brooks, who was a disability advocate and did so much work here on the island. And I noticed that she was commenting on somebody's LinkedIn page the other day, and so I just had to look see what was going on because I like to know these things. And somebody from a hotel in Bournemouth has been he's been appointed. I think he's been appointed by the government to be a representative. I don't know. I'm not quite getting this right, but he's a representative now for disability in the hospitality industry. So in hotels and things, making sure that they they are. Well, he flies the flag for disability, and so she congratulated him. And then I saw this. So yeah, Heather's agreeing that the situation is bizarre with the toilets. It really is. It's just terrible, really. Anyway, so I messaged this guy and said congrats, because I could see on LinkedIn what it was. And I messaged this guy and I said, oh, I've just, because I travelled back on Friday and I had issues. I had disability issues not being got off the train. You know, I booked passenger assist to get me off the train. And when I got to Reading, there was nobody to get me off the train. And so there was a bit of a delay there, but a passenger helped me off the train. But there was nobody to get me on the next train. And so I'll go back to the toilets in a minute. So I saw Mario, who's one of the passenger assist guys, but they all seemed to be very busy assisting people. They'd all got assigned to people to assist them. So anyway, I arrived. I had a 7-minute changeover at Reading, and I knew it was going to be tight, even if there was somebody to get me off the train, because 7 minutes is not really enough time to get off the train, off the platform I come in on, get to the lift, up in the lift, across the concourse, down in the lift, and to the other platform. I arrived to see my train pulling out before I could get on it. If I had passenger assist, what probably would have happened was that they would have done what they usually do and get somebody to put the ramp on the train, and then the train can't leave till I'm on it. But because it's holiday time, it was more impacting because I didn't get off the train quickly. By the time I get to the lift, there's all the people with their luggage and their pushchairs or their bicycles or all the things that are going in the lift. And so I have to wait for the lift to go down or up, whichever way we're going. I think we're going, I don't know. In some stations I go up and then down, and some I go down and then up. I don't know. Anyway, so of course we got to the first, got to the lift, and I had to wait for it to go down and up, and then went across the concourse, and then for the other lift I had to wait for the first lot to go down and then come up again. So no wonder I missed the train. But the upshot of that was I was now then running very late, and in the end I ran more than an hour late. Yes, because by the time I got on another train. So I've got a full refund coming in, so not so worried about that. But and the funny thing is, when I booked that train, I could see that there was only a 7-minute changeover there, and I'm thinking, I don't think that's enough. So I went and looked for another train, but the next train that I found, with a better time delay, was £10 more. So that's bonkers. So I was going to help myself to solve the problem, but pay more for it. And I thought, no, this is stupid. If I do the £33 or whatever it was, if I do that one and I don't do the connection in time, I will get a refund. So it might have been, 15 minutes, it might have been 30 minutes. It actually put me more than an hour delayed, which means a full refund. So I've got another refund to do. So that's another one, and that'd be good because it all helps. But but I was and the upside of that was because I missed the train, I actually had time to go to the toilet at Reading, and they have a disabled one that is big, and you can get in easily. But mind you, some of the disabled toilets, and like today I was using a disabled toilet, and their doors are so blooming heavy that I'm struggling to get me and Navy Nora out of the door. And when I use this toilet talk again, but it happens. It's part of everyday life. And so today at Sandown Seafront, they'd got disabled friendly toilet. And today all the toilets they had no charge on. I mean, the disabled ones, I use a radar key, so it don't have to pay anyway. The other toilets, usually you have to pay. And but today, because what joined up thinking this was, well done to Sandown, whoever organised this, because they left the toilets unlocked today so anybody could use them on a day when they had hundreds of people at Sandown Regatta. What a brilliant idea. Another way of thinking could have been, we could make much more money with all these people coming into Sandown. No, it was brilliant, joined up thinking. They let people use the toilets for free. So that was amazing. But today I used this same toilet a couple of times. Don't forget I was there all afternoon. And so I went, I went to use it the first time, and I struggled to pull the door open. Why they make these disabled doors so heavy, so somebody with a disability is even more disadvantaged than they were before. So somebody came and helped me with the door so that I could get in the toilet. So then I'm trying to do the reverse process and come out, and I'm having to sort of try and push my way out backwards to push the door backwards while I'm still trying to get Navy Nor out the door. And some guy saw me and he ran across and held the door for me. So there were a lot of lovely people. Kath's just come in the house. Hi, nice to see you again. Didn't know you were doing a live. Just the thing I need at the moment. Oh no, it's not Kath Cooper. Kath Hawkins. Sorry, Kath. I do try and go live on a Sunday evening these days. Doesn't always work. And I was asleep until 5 to 8 or 10 to 8. And I don't know, when I went to sleep, I forgot to, I was so tired, before I'd set the alarm on my clock, on my phone, I fell asleep. But obviously my body clock was telling me that it was time to wake up. So I woke up without the alarm so that I could be here. Anyway, that's good, Kath. Lovely to have you in the broadcast. So I've been talking about toilet shenanigans, travel shenanigans, my hat. So there are various shenanigans to do with toilets that I need to follow up. But I was telling you, so this guy on LinkedIn, he's become an advocate for the government, a link with the government for disability within the hospitality unit industry, which means all the hotels and things like that. So I messaged him and said about my shenanigans with toilets and trains and not being got off the train by the passenger assist. And I said, do you deal with the transport? He said no. He said, but I will be meeting the guy who does deal with the transport very soon, and I will bring that to his attention. So that's great, isn't it? It's using the power of your network. I mean, I'm a net. If you cut my, not that we want to cut my arm off, thank goodness, but if you did, in my veins it would say networker through and through, because I do network. It's it's connecting people and seeing this person needs to connect with that person, and that that's how I'm wired. And so I use the power of my network. So I saw Jan had made the comment on James's page. I then connected with James and said about this, and that's the first step in a chain that might end up in a result that's way better for the passenger assist, especially as it's so fresh. It had just happened on, when I made the comment. And so it will be really good to see those transport people, because also on Friday, when I got to Reading and there was nobody to put me on the train, the people on the platform had lists of the people that were being on the passenger assist list. And she said, your name's not on the list. And I said, well, I did book it. And they said, when did you book it? I said, I booked it this morning, because you're allowed to book it up just till before you go. Sometimes I don't even know when I'm traveling. It's always last minute. And so she said, these lists were printed 2 days ago. How good is that for people traveling? You don't know when you're traveling sometimes. To print a list 2 days before the train's going is bound to leave a lot of people off the list. So I don't know how I get on the list if I don't know when I'm traveling and I book a train the same day. So I've booked a train. I've booked I'm going again tomorrow. I've booked my passenger assist. I've booked my taxi. And again today, when I booked the train today for tomorrow, it was going via hover. It wasn't going by the fast cat. It was going by the hover. Okay, so but it didn't give me digital tickets. It didn't give me the option for digital tickets. Sometimes I have to look, because sometimes it defaults to paper tickets, which means you then have to go and get them. And so I got caught out once or twice. So now I always look before I push the buy button and see if it's defaulted to paper tickets. But it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't give you the option. And of course, on Monday, when I was going right up the pier to the fast cat, fortunately it said, because it only would give me, I had to get paper tickets. So of course they can't send them to you through the computer, can they? You've got to get them out of a ticket machine. And fortunately I I realized, well, I think a note came up on the screen and says you can't get paper tickets at the end of the pier. And so, of course, that's why I had to stop at the dry end of the pier and get my tickets, which is how I came to meet the lovely Erin, who was from the nice new coffee shop, and she gave me a free coffee there as well. That was amazing. But I did a live stream and I helped promote the brand new coffee shop, and so many people have commented on the live streams and the social media posts I put up. That's what happens if you do nice things for people. People put it out on social media. I mean, a lot of them put the bad stuff out, but isn't it nice to praise people who've done things well and the good customer service? So that was very good. So anyway, I booked my hover ticket, and again, it didn't. There was no default. It just said you can't get the hover terminal does not have paper tickets, and of course, there's so many dumb things. Kathy, yes, I'm back home now, but I'm going again tomorrow. It is so dumb, Heather. There's so little joined up thinking on so many things that could make life so easy, not just for those of us with disabilities, but for everybody. So anyway, it said, right, the hover terminal has no paper, no ticket machine. Why they don't have a ticket machine when it's a place of travel, I don't know. Why they don't make it easy to put ticket machines in all these places. Obviously, it's a cost thing. So who's the ultimate person affected? The passenger. So anyway, I thought, right, I've booked my taxi. So I booked my taxi to take me to the hoverport, right? The hover terminal is here. The train terminal with the ticket machine is over here. To get to here from here, there is an up and over bridge which is not accessible for somebody with disabilities. So if I get dropped off here by my taxi, I've then got to get my tickets and then walk all along the Esplanade, all down here and all back the other way on the other side because there's a railway that runs there. But because I realised, and because I was going down to the interchange today to get a bus so I went from home down to Ryde Interchange, and then from Ryde Interchange to the bus museum, and then from the bus museum onto the regatta in Sandown. I thought, oh, I tell you what, I will stop. I will allow enough time to go to the ticket machine while I'm at Ryde Interchange. A bit of quick thinking here to save myself. So I got off my bus, checked up what time my next bus was going, and could see that I got about 6 minutes before my next bus was going. And 6 minutes, providing the machine works, providing there's not a big queue of people at the machine, 6 minutes was ample time to get my tickets out of the machine. So I now have my tickets for tomorrow. What I just have to do is not lose them. They are in the side of my handbag, and as long as I don't change my handbag, which I'm not intending to do, they are there in my bag. Alex is tired, and it's nearly 10. Don't worry, Alex. You go. It's not like school. You don't have to be here all the time. She's had a long day with no siesta, and have to be up early tomorrow morning. Safe travels tomorrow. Well, I had a nap, so that's why I can manage it. But thanks, Alex. It's lovely to see you today, and lovely for you to be here in the broadcast. Go and get your shut eye. Go and get your sleep so that you're fresh for tomorrow. I don't want to be too long because I haven't done anything towards going tomorrow, but I don't need to do a lot actually because I'm going off tomorrow. I'm coming back on Wednesday. So it's not a lot of packing of stuff to take. And in fact, I've left some clothes at my daughter's anyway, so I don't have so much to do. But I just need to make myself a picnic because, of course, doing Slimming World and being gluten-free, I always like to have my picnic with me. So I've got to do that, but that's not very involved. That's so easy. And my taxi's booked for 11:45, so I've got time in the morning, as long as I don't stay up all night. I don't intend to. So yes, so it's been a busy week. Toilet shenanigans, train shenanigans, and I don't know. Obviously, passenger assist. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I've got a 7-minute changeover tomorrow. But it's at Westbury station tomorrow. I don't really know Westbury. I don't think it's as big and vast as Reading. I knew as soon as I saw 7 minutes that it was going to be challenging. And actually, when I got off the train, so passenger helped me off the train because nobody turned up. The guard was going to come along and help me. because they're very good if the passenger assists don't turn up. But he was still at the other end of the train, and there was somebody who'd never travelled on the railways before, and he was going to catch the same train as I was going to go. So I said, "Oh, come with me, and I'll show you which way to go." Except, of course, I got stuck with lifts that were full. He was not. He didn't need the lift. So I said, "Look, you go, because otherwise you're going to miss the train. So just go, and this is where you have to go." And I told him, and I said, "Ask any station staff." So I presume he caught the train because I didn't see him on the platform. So that was good. But yeah, so it makes life interesting. And what would I have to talk about, folks, if I didn't have all these shenanigans going on? But anyway, so yes, so I got back on Friday, and then yesterday I went to the Sandown, no, Shanklin Illuminated Carnival, and that started at 9:15 in the evening because we have to wait for it to get dark. I was finishing off a lot of the raffle prize. Well, the prizes for today to give for them to be fundraising today, but I was going to give them to the Sandown team at the carnival last night. But of course, as you know, they were all half finished. So I spent all day yesterday putting eyes on octopuses and finishing off mermaids and putting eyes on lobsters and all the things that you do. And so I did that. But then I wasn't originally going to go to the regatta. I was going to go today. I was going to go to just to the bus museum all day because I had these wonderful things going on there. And then I thought, do you know what? I'd like to go in the hat competition because you know me and my hats. We're going the hat competition. So I don't know which way round. Shall we have the egg at the front? Shall we have the eclair at the front or the banana at the front? Who knows? It's a reversible hat. You know, you can have it whichever way round you like. I don't mean reverse inside out because that's not very fun. But so this, as you know, has been one of my favourite hats. I love it. But it was looking very so I was chatting with Tracy online last night, and I was saying, "Oh, I want to do a hat." And I was going to construct. I don't know when I was going to do it. I think I wasn't going to go to bed last night, but I did go to bed last night because I decided that it was a bit silly not to. And I'd been sort of thinking, why don't I use this hat? Because it was just a hat parade. You could have any hat you liked. There was a competition for the Mad Hatter Award was for the most eccentric hat, and then there was just a children's prize, and then there was an adult. Oh no, the other prize was children or adults, the best creation, and it went to a lovely little boy who'd made the Titanic with his dad, and it was really good, and it was so lovely to see that he won. And so, but I wanted to go. I wanted to go in the competition just for a bit of fun and actually to make up the numbers. So, question: do they have only printouts of the assist list, or can they see a current list on? Well, they should be able to, Heather. They should be able to see it in a digital world. Since we are moving into a digital world, they really should be able to see it. So I don't know why they've got a 2-day-old printed out list, and that will be one of the questions that I will ask this guy, to do with transport, if I can get hold of him in the near future, because things need to change. I mean, fortunately, I am not that disabled, and I manage. When a passenger said, "Can I help you off?" it means I have to step down off the train, but at least I can do that. You see, they put passenger assist. They put a ramp up, and they help me so I can go up a ramp, because all the trains, you have to step up into the trains, and some of the stations say, "Mind the gap." There's a big gap. If you don't watch your footing, you could end up in the tracks and that sort of thing. But anybody with more of a disability, so for wheelchair users and all that, it's even more difficult, and we've got one of our she's got an award. I don't know whether she's an MBE or an OBE or something, one of the awards from the King or the Queen. Because obviously we had a queen and now we've got a king, which is why I said king or queen, not because I didn't know, but because some people would have had their awards when the queen was alive and some will have them now. Anyway, Tammy Gray Thompson, she's a wheelchair user, and so she's, I think,
I'm not sure whether she doesn't have legs or she doesn't have legs at work. Anyway, so quite, you know, she's such a lovely person and she's so bright and cheerful. But on this occasion, she was not, because nobody got her off the train. And she had to crawl her way off a train and get her wheelchair off the train on her own. And I think it's absolutely disgraceful. And, you know, we're living in a modern world where none of this should happen, you know. So, but of course, because I now am disabled myself, I understand the problems more than I did perhaps before. And I think this is it. Some people don't understand what the problems are or can't see it. But, you know, in this world we live in, this should all be, it is disgusting, absolutely disgusting, Steve. I just, you know, it beggars belief, doesn't it, that somebody could be in that position and have to crawl off a train. I mean, that's degrading in itself, you know, that's terrible. I've been lucky that when the passenger assist people have not turned up, there has usually been a passenger who says, sometimes the passenger's already said, oh, can I help you off the train? And I will usually say, well, there should be a passenger assist here person. And then I look, and if I see them, they're always in high-vis jackets, and they usually, the system is that they usually know which carriage I'm in, where I'm sitting on the train. Because the idea is that when I get on at one station, they message the next station to say where in the train I am, so that the passenger assist people can be ready at where that train, that carriage is going to stop. But you know, I have been very lucky. It has worked most of the time, but just occasionally it doesn't. But then, as I say, I've got a full refund to claim today. And actually, I've got to, when I finish the broadcast, I've got another claim to put in. And I think it's the last day. It's one that I forgot to do. And I think it's the last day to claim it today. It was only a 15-minute delay, but it still makes a difference of about £9. I think on that one, it was about £8 or £9, which is always useful in my pocket rather than in the train people's pocket. So I've got to do that one, but I will do this one at the same time. I'll do it tonight and then I won't forget. But also I've got one that I did, and I've just remembered now. I did a previous one where, what happened? Oh, it was one of those, wasn't it? Where, I think it was the one where I was rerouted because the lifts were out at Basingstoke and at Reading and at my final station. They were out at Portsmouth and Southsea and at Basingstoke and my final destination. It turned out that the final destination, it wasn't out. And I think at Basingstoke it had been repaired. But because it wasn't because Basingstoke was out, they rerouted me via Guildford. At Portsmouth and Southsea, they put me on a train. They said, do you mind going via Guildford? Because there's no lift there. I said, no, I don't mind. That'd make it easier. But of course, there wasn't a lift, but there was a subway that went down. That was okay, but then it went up. It was a bit steep, but it wasn't too bad. I can manage it. I mean, on days like today when I'm tired walking up the road, it would be quite a struggle. Other days I can do those. You know, it depends how you are, doesn't it? You know, how tired you are. So when I put in the claim for that one, they came back and said, unsuccessful claim. That's because the train I should have been on left on time from the station that it was supposed to go on. I said, so I then have to do the process of ringing up the passenger assist people. Now I've got the phone number, I can do that. And saying, yes, the train left on time, but I wasn't on that train because the lifts weren't working. I had to go via Guildford. And so that put extra time, so I have to explain everything. Hello, Ailey. She's going to watch on replay. Hope you had a nice day and hope that the weather stayed nice. Yes, it did. It was really nice. I managed to find some shady spots today. So this morning, I was at the bus museum and it was so lovely and cool in there. And then I was, listening to the lovely singing from the 40s. That was a celebration for VE in Japan Day. That was brilliant. And then so that was really nice and cool. Then I got on the bus and went to Sandown, and it was boiling hot. I had put cream on, fortunately, but I found when I'd done what I needed to do and I was having my lunch, which was a late lunch, I found a bit of shade. There's a road that goes down to the seafront, and it goes down and round the corner, and just round the corner there is an ice cream parlour, and people were queuing for the ice cream parlour, but I could see that just here, it was all in the shade. The building was shading this bit of pavement, and so I sat on Navy Nora here. So the ice cream queue was round there. What I didn't realise was the ice cream queue was going to build up, and then some people thought I was in the ice cream queue, so they went behind me. I said, no, I'm just sitting here having my lunch. So they went round me. But I managed to find the shade to just sit, because for me it's too hot, much too hot, and I don't like it. So I just sat, and I would get all hot and bothered. But I didn't, so I kept my cool. How did you get on with the hat competition? I didn't win, but it made a lot of people smile, and that's, in my book, that's mission accomplished. If people saw something that made them smile, it was mission. There were some really good hats. Some, lots of effort gone into a lot of. There weren't a lot of hats, but there were quite a few, enough for it to make a very good competition. So yes, so last night, when I was thinking of making a brand new hat and not going to bed, that seemed so stupid. And I was chatting with Tracy, and I'd already thought, well, I've got this hat, but is it good enough? And then Tracy said, why don't you wear your incredible edible hat? And I said, right, you've just convinced me. I'm definitely going to do that. And so I rummaged, because I've got Kallax units over there, and all the boxes, most of the boxes have got wool in. Some of the boxes have got half knitted, my PhD, half knitted things, and some of them have got knitted things that have been made but not done anything with. And so I rummaged in there, because this was looking a bit tatty. I've been worn so much, so there were little gaps and things. So I found another sandwich. I found another mushroom. I found a donut. I put the donut on last night. I found this Viennese shortcake thing with chocolate on the end. I found that. What else? Oh, I found a biscuit, a nice pink wafer biscuit. I found two sandwiches. I think I found another sandwich there. So I added to the hat, and it was very quick. So Ailey's saying, wait a minute, hang on. So Ailey says she noticed that most of my knitting was one. Yeah, because I live streamed at the stand where my knitting had been prizes. Ailey's seen that, and she said, I noticed that most of your knitting was one lucky people winning your work. Did someone win the lobster? So I don't know. The lobster was still on the table when I got there. The lobster and one other. There were two things that I'd knitted were still on the table, but I didn't hang around. It was very hot, and I was getting too hot to stand there live streaming, and I wanted to get back for the hat competition as well. So I didn't hang around. So I don't know, but I do know that they were very, they loved having them, and it made people smile, which is the whole purpose of it, And so I'm now going to be making lots of little things. I've got sorry, let's finish about my hat. So I added all those extra bits on, and it didn't take me very long at all. So I did get a good night's sleep last night, and I was very grateful to Tracy for suggesting, having doing that hat. I mean, I love this hat. It's my favourite hat, and it's changed over the years from a hat that was all fruit and veg to now, like like a banquet on there now. So anyway, that was just a bit of fun. But so now I'm switching over. I've got this book out. This one I've had for years. It's 100 little knitted projects, and I've done so many things from this book. I haven't done all 100. I've done a lot of them. When I was rummaging in my box the other day, I found the lighthouse. I've got a lighthouse made, like you randomly do. I've got all sorts of things that I've made from this one. There's the melon that I knitted recently. There's the melon. Let's point to the right thing. I was saying there's the melon and pointing to the pig. That wasn't very clever, was it? Anyway, so I'm making prizes for the tombola, and now we had a bit of a disconnect, but it didn't matter, because the brief I had, I thought it was just a misunderstanding. I thought I was making prizes for a raffle. When I do them for Ride Carnival, I'm doing them for a tombola, and when it's a tombola, they get a prize every time. So what I do is lots of little things. So using my time to make lots and lots of prizes to help raise more funds. That's what I do. So there will be all little things like this that will be in a tombola. But as I say, I thought I was making raffle prizes, so I made them bigger and bolder, so that because I thought that people would look on the table, oh, and see nice things, and then want to buy more raffle tickets, and that's what I thought. Anyway, I took the gifts to I took them across to Shanklin Illuminated Carnival last night. Found Tracy, who was the one I was told to hand them to, and I said to Tracy, "These are for the raffle." She said, "We haven't got a raffle." I said, "Oh no." So what have I done? She said, "We've got a tombola." I said, "Okay, never mind. Somebody's going to win some fantastic tombola prizes." Even though I do say so myself. But you know what? It doesn't matter. And I said to Ben today, I explained. I said, "I'm not cross. It doesn't matter. It was a misunderstanding. Next time we'll make sure I totally understand what I'm doing." And I said, "But I thoroughly enjoyed making all those creatures, so it's really entertained me. It's entertained lots of you who enjoyed me teasing you with the walrus. When I put the picture of the half done walrus, I knew none of you would guess what I was making. I'm a naughty tease, aren't I?" But it was such fun. I had such fun making all those things, those sea creatures. I had wanted to make a seahorse. I didn't get there. I had started a penguin that I did. That was why I wanted the black wool for my daughter to go out, and then I found out I already had the black wool, and then I'd made the feet of the penguin, and I made his tummy, and I made his beak, but I didn't make the penguin itself. So that's another project half done that will get finished at some stage. But as I say, I'm going on to all the little things, and this is just one book I have of 100 knitted projects. But I have so many books. I can just keep on. I can make little dinosaurs. I can make little bride and grooms. I can make little aliens. I can make little all sorts of different things. And I just love it. I enjoy it. And I know that you enjoy it as well. So I just look for what I think is interesting and fun. It's all about having fun, isn't it? So let's have a look. There's some new comments come in. Let's see what the comments are. What hat won the competition? Was it handmade? It was. It was the one that won the £100. I mean, I wasn't entering it for a money prize. I was entering it just for a bit of fun. The child won the overall. So there was an under 12s award for one of the children, and then well, there were actually two children won it. There was there were brothers, and that was really good. It was very much recycled and very child orientated, and it was done, and that's obviously why the judges loved it. It was gorgeous. And then there was a Mad Hatter prize for the most eccentric, and then there was the overall prize. So that was all the children and the adults together were all judged together for the overall prize that won £100. And that was a little boy. And actually I'd seen him as I arrived. He'd arrived at the same time, and I was chatting to him. And I was thinking it was a ferry. It wasn't a ferry. That was just how my brain worked. It was the Titanic. It was the Titanic, so it was and it was done. They used a cycle helmet. It was brilliant. So they constructed it on a cycle helmet, and it was beautiful. It was very much child done. And sometimes these things are what wins it. When my daughter won a Halloween competition that was judged by Grot Bags back in the day, Grot Bags from TV, the TV witch. She judged my daughter, and she liked it because my daughter had made so much of it. It was very much child made rather than adult. So that was, it's just whatever pleases the judges, And anyway, it's all a bit of fun. It's a bit of entertainment for the crowds, isn't it? And so the child had won it. It was Titanic, and he got smoke funnels on there, and it was really good. But the reason I wanted to call it a ferry, I was chatting to him about it and saying I liked his hat, and it reminded me of when we as children came to the Isle of Wight with our mum and dad, and of course, my dad has this. We have this history of always making fancy dress costumes. My dad used to hide us inside costumes, and but this one, I think we had our heads a bit more visible, and so we were in a red funnel ferry. I don't know whether it was two or three of us in it, or we all had different costumes. I can't remember. But I know maybe my brother was in this one, but it took me back. It was nostalgia. It took me back to my childhood days. And so my dad had constructed very similar looking boat it was to what the child had done, which is why it made me think it was a ferry and not the Titanic. And so my dad had made this lovely boat. And the things we do when we're on holiday, you go around supermarkets to see if you could get cardboard boxes for making fancy dress while you're on holiday. That's the sort of thing we always did. I'm not any different now. And so then he'd made the funnel, because they're red funnel ferries, so they have funnels, and that was my brother's hat. Would your knitting go towards a raffle? Yes. So I did big things, because when people are looking at a raffle, they want to see what the prizes are. Sometimes before they buy their tickets. Not everybody. Some people will buy tickets anyway. But the more attractive the prizes look, the more tickets they might buy. And that's what I thought I was doing. But actually, it was not a raffle. It was a tombola, and the prizes. It was, I think, a prize every time, or a prize with certain numbers. What I'm saying is, in the time that I made all those big things, I could have made a whole bag of little things, so they could have raised more money that way. But it was just because I didn't quite. It was a mismatch. And you know what? As I said, I was talking to Ben tonight, and I just said, did you know we didn't quite get it right, because he was the one that asked me to do it, and he said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, don't worry. I said, because I nearly died of pneumonia once. That was a very serious situation. Getting a brief wrong on raffle prizes or tombola prizes is not life-threatening. And I said to him, I really, really enjoyed making them. And he was actually following my social media page anyway. He was seeing me make all the things. He particularly loved Walter the Walrus, and he was enjoying it. So I gave a lot of people a lot of enjoyment, because I misunderstood the brief. I probably would have given them fun, but the little ones, I couldn't have. I tweaked it out to get more fun out of it, because I was teasing you with putting something down and saying, what do you think I'm making now, and that sort of thing. So I made it an entertaining thing. So it really doesn't matter to me. Yes, well done to the winner, absolutely, Ailey. It doesn't matter to me at all about that. So I'm not I'm not overly worried. I wasn't worried at all that it was a raffle. It was not a raffle, it was a tombola. But I just said, next time when I understand it better, it's just that I want to make the maximum money for those who are trying to do the fundraising. And obviously, lots of little prizes, lots of entries in the tombola. That would have, in the time that I made to knit one big thing, I could have knitted lots of little ones. I hope you get what I mean. So Ailey saying, I shared an old live stream from 2021 when my brother David had the Scottish hat on. Yes, he did. He had his tam o' shanter, and took over the live broadcast talking about Scotland. David was so funny. That's right. He was. We don't see so much of each other these days. Lives, sometimes we don't don't see as much of each other as we used to. Maybe that will change again soon. I don't know. It's just our lives are going in very, very, all things, too many things happening. Of course, I'm not here on the island a lot. I've been going backwards and forwards, but enjoying it, and loving all the different things going on in my life. And of course, the beauty of doing that is I've been seeing lots more of my grandchildren, because of course I don't see my grandchildren that much if I don't do these journeys. And of course, the two oldest ones are off to uni soon, so they won't be around when I go and see my daughter. But that's a brand new adventure. I think they're looking forward to it, but one of them, I think, is more blasé than the other one. So one of them will be a little bit of a worrier, but she'll be fine. They'll be fine. They've got to make the move sometime, haven't they? We all did. Yeah, Heather saying, enjoy the seasons you're in. Absolutely. It's just that's it. And I don't know if you noticed, if you were watching me when I was making the jellyfish came out of a mistake. Isn't it funny? Something happened like that once before. I'm trying to remember that. And somebody saw me making something, and they said, "Oh, that's a nice." I can't remember the story now, but I'll have to try and think about it. But they said that's a nice whatever they thought it was, and I said it's not one of those; it's something else. But actually, it led on to me making whatever they thought I was making. It was quite fun, so random. But when I was looking for more bits and pieces and little prizes and things, I've got the plastic drawers that used to sit over here had lots of my half knitted projects in them, or half crocheted projects, and I've moved that further round in the flat, and I was rummaging in it, and I came across these. So this is what I base it when I make the wigs, the curly wigs. This one's a half done, another half finished project. So this is a green wig. Let's put this one on. This is a green wig. So I know that Paul, who's in my community, he wanted a blue wig. He had a blue wig. He was doing running for prostate cancer. Somebody else had a blue wig, I think, for different things. And so I've made a yellow one for Go Yellow Day. This would have curls all over it. So it's only got look, it's got curls. I start at the back and I put the curls on and just, add them as we go. But as you can see, this is half done. So when when I get time on my hands that I'm not too busy, I will crochet some of these and throw them in a drawer. Just use up some of the wool and put them all in a drawer. So I have a lot of these curls in the drawer. And then sometimes randomly I'll make these things up and put them in the drawer till I need them. And so I got a lot in the drawer like that. And I had something similar to this, but it wasn't quite the same shape. It was sort of it tapered in here. It was actually, started making it last year to make it into a pumpkin bag for Halloween, and I didn't finish it. So then I realized that actually, instead of having it as a bag like that, I could turn it up the other way. Some of you might have seen me broadcasting it. I could turn it up the other way. I could fill it up and stuff it with. So I didn't use all my stuffing, my lovely stuffing. What I did was I put this is what I do with all my random bits of wool. When I cut any of the ends off the wool, I stick it in this goldfish bowl or whatever it is called. And then, so what I did, some of you were suggesting that instead of using stuffing, making suggestions for making it cheaper, because obviously the stuffing costs mount up. So what I did, I got a whole bundle of this wool and I wrapped it in some fabric. What did I put it in? I found a piece. Oh, no, I didn't. I put it in the middle. I put round the outside, as I stuffed the outer edge, I put the stuffing. And in the inner bit, I put all the coloured threads, because they've got to be hidden in the middle, because otherwise you'll see them through the holes. You'll see the colours through the holes. But so I did use a big handful of that and saved on the actual stuffing that I buy, because these are all the ends I just snip off when I'm finishing off ends. Look, they're all tiny little bits. Most of them are tiny little bits. Can't do much with them, but that's recycling, not a waste bit. You do that with die cuts, absolutely. You've got to just just got to do the best you can do. Make the most of all of it. Hang on, let's have a look. So Lynn's Ailey's saying I had the blue and white for Scotland on the live stream. Yes, that's right. I did make one of these in blue and white for a Scottish one as well. I've made so many of them. I've got a red one because I wore it for Red Nose Day. I made one for Red Nose Day years ago. So not only red nose but red hair as well. So lots and lots of different things. But I just love it. And of course, if I see a new pattern or a new book, I want it, don't I? I just got to have it. Not always. Sometimes I wait, and sometimes people give them to me as presents. But surround me with all this wool, and I'm happy. And if I can make some other people happy as well, then that even works better. So, right. So, Ailey's saying it's 2 years ago that I started doing crochet for the first year. No, it's not. It's longer than that because did that say crochet? Yes, it's longer than that because I learned to. It's longer. Maybe. So Ailey remembers me making a wig for Andrew, and so good evening from Peyton Dimon. There's Paul. Oh, Paul, we were talking about wigs. The wigs I'd made, and of course you had one of the blue ones I made, didn't you? See, he came right in on cue. He must have known it was time to come in. So so yes, we were talking about all the different colours of wigs that I have done, and so just such fun. And then hang on. So that's right. I made a wig for Andrew in Glasgow. I did. I made him a coloured wig, I think, like mine, didn't I? So I've made a fair few, and then I made a wig with lots of tight curls for one of the presenters on Crafter's Companion, Heather. I've forgotten who it was I made it for. Oh, I know. It was for Michelle. So Michelle was one of the people who was relieved of her job, shall we say, by Crafter's Companion. But she was just a lovely presenter, and I'd had a wig on. I think when I was demonstrating at home. So they used to get some of us at home to join in the broadcast when they were making something, and I think I must have had a wig or something on myself, and Michelle wanted it, so I made her own wig, and it was with the tight curls. When I demonstrated on air, that's it. So it was like I don't think I can see any of those here. So sometimes I make the wigs with the curls like that, and sometimes I just wind the wool round and round and round my fingers, and then tie it in a knot, and then cut it so they can make pom-poms, make them into pom-poms. But if I don't cut the ends, they're very curly bits, and they go on. And I made my two little granddaughters, some wigs like that, and then they were doing something, and then their mummy bought them some sort of glasses so that they looked like little old grannies, and it was just such fun. So I just end up with so many things, and there's always more projects that I want to do than ever I have time to execute. Ailey's remembering watching the craft shows. Yes, so the craft shows I started watching. So that came out. So I nearly died of pneumonia at the end of 2022. 13th of December 2022 was when I went into hospital, and they saved my life. And in my recovery, then that's when I learned to do the paper craft, and that's how Heather and I have connected with each other. So we were with Crafter's Companion, watching all those wonderful demonstrations, and then sadly, Crafter's Companion were no longer the shining example we thought they were. So Heather and I, we diverted to other craft companies, but we linked up since. That's right. Paul ran in the half marathon. In the Plymouth Half Marathon. I bet you got hot, didn't you, Paul? Because these wigs and hats are so hot. I started off by having my incredible edible hat on today, Paul, and that's all knitted, and that makes me very hot, which is why I've taken it off, because it's quite hot in here tonight. So who knew that a ball of wool could make such fun for me? And even here, look. When I was going through the boxes of things that I'd got half made, I found, look, I got a meringue. I've got a nice pink meringue, but that one didn't go on. I left that one off. In the box also. So these are all things that can go in the tombola for Ride Carnival. So I made some little footballs. Do you remember when, was it Gareth Southgate? Was that his name? The football manager? And I don't remember much about football, but I know that there was a celebration, and I think it was Gareth Southgate or something. I even knitted him. He's in a box over there, and I knitted lots of footballs around that time. So I got these little footballs that can go into the tombola. Now here's Humpty Dumpty. but he's got no legs, he's got no arms, and he's got no face. He is a project half done, a part of my PhD. And I'll tell you what, this is the book that he's in. Look, there he is. That's what he looks like when he's finished. So I've got him out. Whoa, and thrown him on the floor. I've got him out. So I'm going to make him some legs and some arms and put a face on, and that can go into the tombola. And there's just so many bits and pieces that I now can donate on, because I'm one of these, I mean, how random is it that I just, when I needed to make this hat better, I just went randomly into my boxes and found a knitted sandwich, and in the past knitted sausages and things like that, because I so randomly knit these things all the time. But I know, Ailey was saying it was 2 years ago. It was, I forgot what we said was 2 years ago. It was longer ago than, I can't remember what you said was 2 years ago. But I know, I can know the timing because of, now I forgot what I'm trying to know the timing on. Oh no, silly old granny. It's time to go to bed soon, I think. Ailey's saying she remembers when I went live on the craft show and told them how to pronounce her Scottish Gaelic name, and you told them that Ailey was Scottish Gaelic for Helen. That's right. You see, all these things that I try and pass on. Every day's a school day. I do need rest, don't I? I'm going to finish the broadcast in a minute because it is a travel day tomorrow. I also have to put in my claim for that other train ticket before midnight. Hi, Rachel. Nice to see you as well. Must be 3 years ago you started doing... Oh, crochet. That's right. That's what you said. No. I learned to crochet when I was 68. I can remember it was 60. I was 68. In the year I was 68, I think. And I'm going to be 75 next month. So how long is that? 68, 7 years. So it's longer. Time flies so fast, doesn't it, Ailey? You think, oh, it was only a year ago, only a couple of years ago. Suddenly you do the math and you think, actually, no, it was about 7 years ago. Must be 3 years ago. No, it was 7 years ago. I can't believe that I learned to crochet. It was a long time before I ever learned to crochet. But then when I did learn to crochet, it's 7 years have gone by since I did. I don't do a lot of crochet. I do prefer knitting, but these hat bases, they're all crocheted, and that's very easy crochet. And these are all crocheted. That's very easy crochet. So I do the easy stuff. I don't like doing, complicated crochet. It's much easier. My granddaughter, the 15-year-old, she's really got into the amigurumi, so the little crocheted items. She's doing loads and loads of things like that. But folks, wherever the year's gone, I have no idea. They're going so fast. But it's only a number. When I think, oh my goodness, I'm going to be 75. But you know what? It's how you feel, isn't it? And because I've sort of taken off the weight, because I'm eating more healthily now, although I've still got the disability, and that that's what it is. Life, if you accept those things, that's okay. But I don't feel like I'm 75. Oh, there we are. Thank you, Ailey. She's saying I'm very talented. So are you, Ailey. You do loads and loads of things. Lots of us are talented, and lots of us are talented in different ways. I think everybody has their own talents, And when people say to me, "Oh, you're so clever," no, but people can see the things I'm good at because I have them on social media, because people see the results. But everybody's got the things they shine at. It's just that some people don't share it all out in the same way, but everybody has something that's good, their skills. And always look on the bright side of life. That's a song, isn't it? But I won't sing it. But what I will do is wind up, folks, because unless I don't think did I go off at too many tangents and not finish half the stories? I don't know. But let's have a look. What year was the carnival lorry in my garden? I think that was 2018. I think that was, Ailey. 2018. So it was obviously before COVID, because then we had no carnivals in COVID. Yeah, and that was and Tracy made me laugh, because those of you who've watched my broadcast for a long time will know that years ago when we were doing that lorry, and Tracy did so much work on that lorry, I promised her a gold star. So that was all those years coming, right? Like 2018, 2019 time. So how many years on are we from that? You know, too many. And she hadn't had a gold star. So of course, earlier this year, I made her all sorts of gold stars. So I crocheted a gold star to go over. No, I didn't crochet that. I knitted that to go over a chocolate orange. And I did all sorts of different things for gold stars. I gave her a box of gold stars in all different formats. And so when we were chatting last night online, and she said, "Oh, why don't you have the incredible edible hat?" And actually, she suggested putting a seagull on the top, and I was going to have the seagull pinching a chip, you know, with a chip in his mouth. But in the end, I just decided not to push myself too hard to have to finish a seagull and make a chip. I just did with what I went. But the idea was wonderful, and the fact that she said, "Use your hat you've already got." She said, and do I get, I don't know whether she said, if you win, do I get a gold star? But I think she has to have a gold star anyway. So I'm starting her new round of gold stars. I wonder what it will be this time. But folks, I will need sleep. I won't need gold stars. I need sleep. So I'm going to finish up now and wish you well and hope you have a wonderful week. I think Hazel must have come in. I could see a good morning all. There she is. Good morning, Hazel. I was mentioning you earlier in the broadcast and saying that, you know, sometimes because somebody came in and said good morning. No, they didn't. Somebody came in and said good afternoon. So that was Heather over in the States, of course, because it's afternoon for her. And then I said, oh, well, we might have Hazel pop up and say good morning, coming in from Australia. And there you have, just before I finish. But I need to go. Not because you've arrived, Hazel, not at all. I need to go because I've been broadcasting for 2 hours. I'm travelling tomorrow. I'm not organised and I'm very tired from all my activities at the weekend. So I'm going to go and make myself a nice cup of coffee and get on and just organise myself and get to bed at a reasonable hour. And I've got to finish my claim for the ticket claim that needs doing before tomorrow. It's a last day to claim today, so I better go and do that. And I will see you all very soon. But of course, you might have noticed that I'm doing some random live streams just out and about wherever I can, because I feel well enough now these days to suddenly do that. Just keep watching, and you'll either see them as lives or you'll see them as come up as you know, I've put them up on YouTube or whatever. So just watch out. I'm trying to do a bit more, but obviously I can't let it take over my life. Although it does sometimes. It doesn't matter. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me and have a wonderful week. I was born in September. That's right. I was born in September. Oh, Louise just came in as well there from Facebook, and she just sent a heart there. And just these last comments. I'm so glad you are well and able. Yeah, and you know what a difference it makes. I think back to how I was. And you know, usually I've got a positive attitude and I'm, you know, sort of see all the good things. I can tell you when I was on December the 13th, 2022, and the following few days after that, and a bit before that, I did not have much of a cheerful bone in my body, I don't think. I have never been so ill. And I just didn't have that smiley, you know, the smiley me that's more me. It wasn't me at all. It was horrible. Never wish that on my worst enemy. But I'm so glad that I'm able to now, you know, make you laugh and have a good time and entertain you. So entertain you, I think I have. Aileen is born in Fort William in May '64. So you're 14 years behind me. I was born in 1950. Hello, Vivian. Vivian saying good night, Lynn, and sweet dreams. So I think Vivian must have been watching there in the background. It's always lovely to have you in. It doesn't matter if you comment or not. If you do comment, then I can say hello to you because I don't know who's watching. I can see the numbers watching, but I don't know who it is. When I live stream, when I'm out and about live streaming on Facebook, it does say, if you're connected to me, it will say you're watching, even if you haven't said hello to me. That's why I might be recording and saying hello to the people coming in when I'm watching. But anyway, I need to go. And I've done it again, haven't I? I keep saying I'm going and then I don't go. But this time I really am going. I need to go and have a drink. I need to actually blow my nose. I'm feeling a bit nasal now. See you all soon. And good to see you, Vivian, as well. Have a wonderful week. Watch out for some random broadcasts of me and see my shenanigans on the way. I'm sure there will be more shenanigans this week. But you know, and hey, Heather saying good night. And Andrea's just come in. It's just saying hi, Lynn. Andrea, I don't know if you've been in the broadcast or you're just saying hi from the background, but I'm just about to go, but not because you came in. It's just because I'm very tired and I need to get to bed. And I need to be up to travel tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Watch the replay if you like, but you don't have to. And I'll see you all again soon. Take care. Bye.